Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the main components of a digital camera so that you'll know what to look for when you need to do something. The main components are the lens, the shutter release, the mode dial, the preview monitor, the viewfinder, the memory card slot, and the battery compartment, and last but not least, the built-in flash. Let's take a look at the lens. You probably know what that is, but it's the piece of glass at the front of the camera that collects all the light, focuses it on the image plane at the back of the camera, and we also call that the light sensor in the camera. And that light sensor turns the image into digital signals that are recorded on a digital film card. Before any light can get to the digital film card, the shutter has to open, so you have to know where the shutter release is. And the amount of time that the shutter is open, the shutter, by the way, may be electronic or it may be mechanical, but you need to push the shutter button. That's almost always at the top front of the camera, as you see here. And that takes the picture for you. The next component are the mode dials. The mode dials set the way the camera is going to operate in respect to how it takes a picture. The most popular mode on a mode dial is P, which you see set here. And the P stands for point and shoot, or program, which is really the official name that's usually given to the P. The other most popular modes are aperture priority, shutter priority, and manual. And finally, some cameras have special programs. Now, I use this particular power mode dial on this particular Olympus camera because it shows all of these things on the dial. In some digital cameras, you'll find these controls set by the LCD screen and some buttons on the back of the camera, or by choosing them from menus on the LCD monitor. The next thing that's very important is the preview monitor. The preview monitor is the LCD monitor on the back of the camera that shows you what you're taking before you take it. Unless you have a single lens reflex camera, then it can't show you that because the mirror is in the way. And it shows you what you've taken after you've taken it, regardless of what type of digital camera you have, so you know how well exposed the image is. The big disadvantage of the LCD monitors on the backs of digital cameras is that they can be very hard to see in very bright light, like direct sunlight. However, if you carry along a jacket or a black shirt or a piece of black cloth, you can drape that over your head between you and the camera, and it will shade the LCD monitor so that you can see what's going on. Or if you just haven't come prepared, you can always use the optical viewfinder. The optical viewfinder also has the advantage of letting you hold the camera right next to your face, which lets you hold the camera steadier if you need to take a long exposure and don't have a tripod with you. Optical viewfinders are terrific in digital cameras because they actually zoom with the lens when you zoom in and out, so you see a pretty good approximation, usually someplace between 85 and 95% of the actual picture you're going to take. There is one problem with optical viewfinders that you do need to pay attention to, and that is that they're offset from the lens itself. So if you're closer than you need to be for a headshot to the subject, you're much better off to use the preview monitor, or with a little practice learn to compensate for what's called parallax, the difference between the viewfinder and the lens. Also, the other problem with using the optical viewfinder is that you cannot preview depth of field, so you don't know whether things that are extremely close to you or very far away are or are not in focus. And as we'll get into later on, there are reasons you will want to know that. The next thing you want to know where it is the memory card slot, because that's your digital film. You need to be able to take the card out of the camera and put it into your computer, or take it out of the camera to replace it with another empty card if you're out shooting someplace and you've filled up your card and don't have a computer to download your images to. These memory cards can be erased once you've downloaded the images to your computer, so you can use them over and over and over again. You only pay for them once. The next thing that you'll need to know where to locate is the battery compartment. The battery compartment is almost always at the bottom of the camera. There are two types of batteries that are popular in digital cameras. One of them is a single battery that's a little black square box like the battery that you see on the back of video cameras, and the other are little penlight cells or AA battery cells, but you need to use rechargeable nickel cadmium batteries in these cameras. The regular AA batteries just wear out after 3 or 4 pictures. They simply don't have enough capacity. Besides that, you have to keep paying for them over and over and over again. And the last component that you really want to pay attention to is the built-in flash. The built-in flash is pretty tiny, but at least it allows you to fill in the shadows when you're taking portraits in bright sunlight, something that's often unavoidable, or when you're taking pictures indoors and there simply isn't enough light to shoot with natural light. At least you know that you can get some kind of a picture for the record. We'll talk a lot about flash photography later in these lessons. So there you have the basic components of a digital camera. There are also many basic smaller components that we'll want to talk about, and we'll cover those in the next lesson.